Hello, this video is about section 5.1, exploring what makes triangles congruent. And we're going to discuss three things. The first, we're going to talk about what the definition of congruency is. We're going to look at two triangles and decide if they are congruent or not. And we are going to find a value that will make two triangles congruent. So the first thing that we have here is the definition of congruent triangles. Two triangles are congruent if and only if corresponding pairs of sides and corresponding pairs of angles are congruent. So in the picture off to the side, we're going to add some labels. For these two triangles to be congruent, each pair of corresponding sides needs to be congruent. So I'm adding these congruency marks to show which sides of the triangles are congruent. Also, corresponding angles need to be congruent. So I can add congruency marks for the angles as well. So let's look at example 1. We want to decide if these two triangles are congruent. So we need to look at each pair of corresponding sides and each pair of corresponding angles. Well, here we have a 2 meter. It's corresponding with a 2 meter. 1.7 matching with a 1.7. 1 meter matching with a 1 meter. So all of our sides are congruent. But we also need to check our angles. 60 degrees is matching with 60 degrees. 30 degrees matching with 30 degrees. And lastly, our two right angles are matching. So because all of the sides and all of the angles are congruent, these two triangles are congruent. Our directions also say, if yes, list all pairs of corresponding sides and angles. So let's start with our sides. Side JG is congruent with MK. GH is congruent with KL. JH is congruent with ML. And now let's do our angles. Angle J is congruent with angle M. Angle H is congruent with angle L. And angle G is congruent with angle K. Example number 2. Are these two triangles congruent? Well, we have a 7.9 matching with a 7.9. We have a 2.1 matching with a 2.1. But we have a 1.5 matching with an 8.5 matching with an 8.4. Those are not exactly the same, so no, they are not congruent. Example 3. Find the value of x that will result in the two triangles being congruent. So we want to figure out, in this 5x plus 30, what does x need to be so that these two triangles can be congruent? Well, that means in the other triangle, I need to match with angle L. But right now, angle L is not labeled. But we can figure it out. In a triangle, all three angles, this angle plus this angle plus this angle, always have to add up to 180. So if we work backwards, taking 180 minus the two angles that we already know, we can figure out what our angle L will be. And in this case, it is 80 degrees. So when we set up our equation, we want these two things to be congruent. So we want them to be equal. So 5x plus 30 equals 80. Subtract 30 from each side. 5x equals 50. And then divide by 5. So x equals 10. Example 4. Find the value of y that will result in the two triangles being congruent. So I got 2y plus 20, and I need to figure out which side is corresponding to the 2y plus 20. Well, you'll notice that the 2y plus 20 is in between the 1 angle marking and the 3 angle marking. So in the other picture, if I find the 1 angle marking and the 3 angle marking, I can see that my corresponding side is the 36 meter side. So we make an equation, 2y plus 20 equals 36. Subtract 20. 36 minus 20 is 16. Divide by 2. So y equals 8.